Hello and welcome to Late Listening. I'm Chris, and I'd like to continue my series of talking about albums that came out in 1995 that are turning 30 this year. In the previous episode, I talked about Coolio's Gangsta's Paradise, which I'm sure you remember that song, but a lot of people don't remember this record, and they kind of forget that it even was an album, I think. Everybody remembers the single, they remember the Dangerous Minds soundtrack, but the album was somewhat forgotten. Today's selection is kind of in a similar vein. It's not hip hop. It's, what would you say, post-grunge? I would say alternative rock. But this album spawned the most requested song of 1996. But the album came out in 1995, and that is Dishwalla's Pet Your Friends. Do you remember this band? If you're my age, you probably remember the song Counting Blue Cars. Counting Blue Cars was such a huge smash that led to Dishwalla being considered a one-hit wonder because they could never really follow it up. But do you remember this album at all? Most people have forgotten the record or they just kind of don't care. But actually, I'd like to talk about the merits of this album. It's not a bad record in terms of, the alternative rock post-grunge thing, 1995. Yeah, it's fun. So please join me for my little overview here. I hope there's an alternative reality out there somewhere where the band Creed was a one-hit wonder. What was that song? My Own Prison, or one of their early hits. And Creed was the one-hit wonder. And then Dishwalla went on to make some pretty okay, slightly derivative, pretty solid records and sell millions of copies. Yeah, that would have been a better timeline. The image used for the cover of the album is taken from the August 23rd, 1948 Life magazine. That was actually the magazine cover. And the cover story talks about 17-year-old Joan Pedersen, who was Miss California 1948 and became friends with a friend's pet deer, whose name is Bucky, while she was swimming one day. There's also kind of a weird 90s electronic collage that just doesn't fit very well with the live photos at all. Yeah, I'm not sure why they chose to put those two things together. Whoever the art director was for this, it's like, huh? Kind of wanted it all to be the vintage photos. This album holds a special place in my heart because I can remember sitting in the Kmart parking lot in my car, and who should pull up next to me but this car with a couple of Native American girls, one of whom I had a crush on. And I was listening to this album at the time. And long story short, we ended up exchanging binders of CDs, much like this one. And we ended up bonding over Dishwalla's Pet Your Friends while driving around our boring little town and, doing the things that teenagers do. But Dishwalla was a soundtrack to my teens, and I was only 12 years old in 1995. But I continued listening to this record, into high school. And later, I was trying to be cool, so I would deny that I ever liked Dishwalla. Like, what? I don't remember that band. Ugh. It's kind of like Coolio, too. Like, I pretend like I didn't like Gangsta's Paradise also. And now I'm at the age where I feel like, good music is good music. And if you like it, it's good. It doesn't matter what other people think. So if you don't like Dishwalla or Coolio, I don't care. I like these albums. That's what I'm talking about. All right, now let me do a little album review. And Dishwalla, this was their debut, but actually they had a song on a Carpenter's tribute record, which was called If I Was a Carpenter. And they did the song It's Going to Take Some Time. And then, they were picked up by A&M Records, and they recorded this album. But then the album itself was shelved for 7 months, and they didn't understand why. By the way, this is according to guitarist Rodney Browning Cravens. And so the album was supposed to be released. They were on tour with Better Than Ezra. Remember those guys? And Yeah, and then the album was delayed 7 months, and they were like, "Why?" And then the record label said, "Well, so you need to, stay on the road, and you really need to hone your craft." So although it was recorded in 1994, it wasn't released until 1995, and it took almost another year for the single "Counting Blue Cars" to explode on alternative rock radio. So Dishwalla was a bit of a slow burn, even though they got signed really quickly. It took a little while for them to reach that one hit wonder status. So, looking at the record, track number one, Pretty Babies. This is one of the most Pearl Jammy songs on the record, besides track number 10, All She Can See. The way the song kind of opens, especially with that bass line, the way that it comes in. And J.R. Richards, his phrasing, the way that he sings. I don't think his voice actually, like the timbre of his voice, I don't think it sounds that similar to Eddie Vedder of Pearl Jam. But the way that he sings, especially on this record, on the later records, he really comes into his own. But on this record, he has a lot of kind of Eddie Vedder moments. It's a shame that he was compared to Eddie Vedder, just like Scott Weiland from Stone Temple Pilots, or so many other artists. J.R. Richards is a really good singer, and I'm sorry to Eddie Vedder, but I think J.R. Richards is actually a better singer. Anyway, track number one, Pretty Babies. I think this track is emblematic of a lot of the problems that people have with this record. That is, it's boring, it's derivative. Well, I won't deny the latter, but I don't find this album to be boring, especially in the latter half. From maybe Charlie Brown's Parents or Give onwards, I think it's pretty great. And they do seem to have a Dishwalla sound, even though overall Dishwalla is somewhat of a derivative band. I mean, they sound like the 90s, you know what I mean? This song, Pretty Babies, has some unfortunate lyrics, like when he sings, in little beds, in little rooms, all the lost things, all the silver spoons. Like, what does that mean? It doesn't really mean anything, does it? He's trying to make this kind of like a social issue song. Kids shouldn't be exposed to sex too early. Kids shouldn't be, put at the center of the war for attention. Those are nice messages, but the rest of the lyrics don't really add up. It doesn't really say anything. I want those kind of social conscious lyrics to paint an image of the child, or provoke some kind of emotional reaction. But singing about little beds in little rooms, lost things, and silver spoons, I mean, silver spoons means like you're from a rich family, right? So like, why should I care? Musically, Dishwalla is pretty damn good, but lyrically, that's the part of the record that kind of falls flat most of the time for me. Track number two, Haze. Actually, come to think of it, Haze also has some pretty terrible lyrics. She puts the gun to her ear. Like, this was recorded the same year that Kurt Cobain committed suicide. And it's like, dude, if you would have thought about it a little bit more, maybe you wouldn't have chosen that kind of imagery. Yeah, I mean, even Tom York, when he was recording the Bends, the song Sulk, at the end of that song, he had the line, just shoot your gun. But he ended up changing it because of, Kurt Cobain. And I feel like Dishwalla was oblivious to that, I guess. Yeah, supposedly J.R. Richards had some personal trauma with alcoholism and, suicidal members of his family, which, I mean, sure. Yeah, Haze is a song that I would actually often skip it. I'd go from Pretty Babies to Counting Blue Cars most of the time. So, Counting Blue Cars, that's a pretty solid song, right? I mean, that's why it was a gigantic hit. It resonated with a lot of people, for good or for bad. It's kind of funny to me that Dishwalla actually received death threats for gendering God as a female. That's kind of ridiculous, but I guess that happened. So I like this song overall, although I couldn't listen to it for years because it was just so goddamn overplayed. But the lyrics are pretty good actually in this one, if not a little silly, because no child would ever actually ask questions like this, I don't think. I'm not sure about that part where he says, I'm on my way to see her. So, like, the child is going to die? I don't know. Don't think about it. Just sing along. It's fine. I like the bridge of the song. I like it when the acoustic guitar comes in. And I like when the ebow is kind of, it's kind of droning. The lead guitar has this ebow on it, and there's like a little bit of keys in the background, and it kind of paints the picture of like a sunny day, like a sunny afternoon, and it really adds weight to the image of like this man and this boy talking and having this conversation, and they're like counting blue cars on this afternoon. I really like how it sounds. The one thing I don't like is the outro, where the backing vocals go like, "Tell me all your thoughts on God," and then he's like, "hoo hoo hoo" on the top of it. It's like, it's just kind of cheesy, and I feel like they should have taken those background vocals out of there and just had him doing the hoo hoo, like the Eddie Vedder hoo hoos. That would have been just fine. I don't know why they had to put those like cheeseball backing vocals in there. There were a lot of like God songs in the 90s. Did you ever notice that? Like, of course, Marilyn Manson is an easy target. But there was like Joan Osborne's One of Us. Tori Amos, on her second record, Under the Pink, she has a song called God. Sarah McLachlan Surfacing, Building a Mystery. I'm forgetting now. What's the... you sleep in a church. No, you live in a church where you sleep with voodoo dolls. What's the... Prayer from Your Secret God. Something. Yeah, anyway. Smashing Pumpkins, Zero. God is empty, just like me. Nine Inch Nails. Trent Reznor. God is dead and no one cares. If there's hell, I'll see you there. No, I'm thinking of Closer. Closer, for the same record. Closer, you get me closer to God. And I want to fuck you like an animal. Kurt Cobain even. Sunday morning can be every day for all I care. I'm not scared. Light my candles in a daze, cause I've found God. Soundgarden, 1991, Jesus Christ Pose. I'm sure Soundgarden also has other songs with God in there. I'm just not thinking of it at this very moment. But yeah, Jesus Christ Pose. Tool, Sober. Jesus, won't you fucking whistle? Radiohead, Paranoid Android. God loves his children, yeah. Yeah, what's the deal with the God songs? A lot of God songs in the 90s. If you can think of any other God songs, let me know. Because the 90s was an interesting time. It was a weird time. I miss the 90s. Oh, I didn't even mention the Toadies. What was that song? Possum Kingdom. I can't find that record. All right, what's next? Track 4, Explode. What can I say about this one? It's a straight-ahead rock song. Lyrics are pretty forgettable. How many times are you gonna say wasted time? He just says wasted time so many times. Like, again, I want like nuanced lyrics. I think the music is really, really good. I just want the lyrics to be a little more, yeah. But during the verses, they've got the cool like electronics. They've got these little like electronic blips and bloops that come in. And on their second record, And You Think You Know What Life's About, they'll do that a little bit more. And I like that kind of thing. I know that's kind of a 90s cliche. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. Also, J.R. Richards has a pretty good screaming voice. Track 5, Charlie Brown's Parents. Where did it go? I actually have the single. I used to have the CD single for Counting Blue Cars as well. It's been somehow lost or it's buried. Yeah, I think I found this in a bargain bin of just, $1 CDs or 50-cent CDs or something. Sadly, it's just the single edit and the LP edit, which are both exactly the same amount of time. So, yeah. The intro of this song sounds like Santeria by Sublime. I know that the chords are different, but like the way that the guitar goes, it's exactly the same. I love Sublime. Yeah, it's an interesting opening to a song because it's got that Santeria guitar, and then it's got that descending line. And then it becomes like all rockin' all of a sudden, and then the song starts. It's really interesting. Dishwalla, that's the thing I like about Dishwalla, is like a lot of their songs have these little changes and these little kind of unique, the little pre-chorus or like an extra bridge, and it makes it much more interesting as like an alternative rock song. It's not just verse, chorus, verse. So, and then the verses, it becomes all funky, and then the chorus, well, It doesn't get Eddie Vedder than this. Sorry, I just can't help myself. And the ending where he ooh-oohs, the ooh-oohs, the really high-pitched, that's a Vedderism. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if J.R. Richards was trying to sound like Eddie Vedder or the record company was like, do more Eddie Vedder, do more Pearl Jam. But, yeah. But I do like the song Charlie Brown's Parents. It's an interesting song. I mean, the musicianship is pretty great. Like, listen to those drum fills and that, like, the dissonant guitar. There's a lot of songs on this record that you can't really tell if it's major or minor. Like often the choruses are major key, but the verses are either minor or they're like dissonant, and they're kind of using this like mixture of different chords, and it's actually more interesting than people give it credit for. I also like the line in the song, "It would take the jaws of life to pry open your words." I don't really know what that means, but this song is all about like dude's just talking to him and he's not having it, and I assume that line means like it would take everything that I have to like figure out what you're actually saying because you're just a really annoying person. But I still like that line. It's kind of strange. Jaws of life to pry open your words. That's kind of cool. Yeah, I always wish this song would receive a little more radio airplay because it was a single. But one hit wonder. Resigned to the CD bargain bin. All right, track number 6, Give. The guitar has this like shimmery kind of Beatles quality to it. The solo is really psychedelic. Lyrically, he says, I want to remain as a child with you forever. There's a lot of like lyrics on this album about childhood or children. And then in the chorus, what would you give? He asks, what would you give? And I always found that to be kind of dark. I'm not really sure what that means, like what would you give? But I think it sounds a lot darker than what he intended it to be. My favorite part in the song is at about the 4-minute mark, the whole thing kind of breaks down into this like funky jam. And all of a sudden the percussion becomes like Latin. There's like conga drums or bongos or something, and like it just gets really funky. And I just wanted it to keep going. I feel like in the latter half of this album, there's those kind of more interesting little moments where Dishwalla is kind of playing around, and they're kind of like not doing the grunge thing so much. They're doing like more like themselves, or just playing around with these unique little moments. All right, track number 7, Miss Emma Peel. Of course, this is a reference to the Avengers. No, not those Avengers. The old British TV show. And they made a terrible movie of it at one point with, I think Uma Thurman was Miss Emma Peel. But I really, really like this song. I think this is my favorite song on the record. I mean, what a weird inspiration. It kind of reminded me of like those. I like songs with pop culture references that are just bizarre. Like the Refreshments from their album Fizzy Fuzzy Big and Buzzy. The song Bandidos, where he sings about your Captain Jean-Luc Picard. And of course your alien would speak English anyway. Or even Scott Weiland on his solo album 12 Bar Blues. He's got that song Barbarella. It's like a way into the artist's childhood or their psyche or their bizarre inspiration, and also like a celebration of the things that made them who they are and their weird inspirations. And so I just love this song. I love Miss Emma Peel. It's really, really catchy. And the lyrics are by far Dishwalla's best, I think. Like verse 1, he says, I come home late at night, on the floor to turn you on. I check for tint and technicolor. After you, there is no other. Your brown hair is my connection, connects my resurrection. And everyone else is just a harlot. A Star Search spokesmodel starlet. And then kicks into the chorus, Miss Emma Peel, black boots kick high at his face. One last look at the grace of Miss Emma Peel. Catch the curve of your leather heel before he blacks out. That's another one down for Miss Emma Peel. And that's like, the wordplay on that is just amazing. I feel like if Dishwalla had had a little more time before they had gotten signed to A&M Records and they had almost immediately made this album, if they'd had a little more time as a band to kind of write more songs and craft kind of different songs, maybe they could have been a band like the Refreshments or the Gin Blossoms or one of those like more quirky alternative rock bands. I just feel like the first couple songs like Pretty Babies and Haze are just so empty, they're just trying to be edgy and trying to be like Pearl Jam but then there's these later songs that are so weird and cool, and you've got like Latin percussion jam sessions and like an homage to, 60s TV, like Avengers. Track number 8, Moisture. Again, a completely different song. I really like the intricacies of this song. It's like hook after hook after hook. It begins with those kind of chunky industrial drums, and it becomes really heavy, that like guitar. And then his vocals are like soaring over the top of it, and it gets kind of epic. And this song is also incredibly catchy for being kind of bizarre and just having like a lot of different little parts. I don't know. I just love songs that keep changing, I guess. Yeah. So next, track number 9, The Feeder. Again, very interesting percussion in this song. Kind of sounds like a Stone Temple Pilots song or Soundgarden even. And I don't mean that as like a negative thing. It's, earlier songs kind of sounded like Pearl Jam. I feel like this is their attempt at doing a Soundgarden song. But then the verses are kind of like Dishwalla. Maybe actually sounds like Dishwalla, whatever that sound would be. Or maybe Toad the Wet Sprocket. Track number 10, All She Can See. The weakest song on the album. Kind of throws back to Pretty Babies and Haze. Very Pearl Jam. Very much reminded me of the Pearl Jam song Once, or a lot of those songs from 10. I'm a Pearl Jam fan, but this is just it's a little too much. And finally, track number 11, Only for So Long. This song I really, really like a lot, but I feel like it only has one verse, and then that incredibly catchy chorus kicks in. And I kind of feel like if they had spent a little more time on this song the way that they spent on Moisture or Give or Charlie Brown's Parents, where it has all those different like shifting little parts and those little hooks, a little pre-chorus, a little like an extra bridge or something like that, this song would be way better. And I like it a lot for what it is. It's very short. I think it's under 3 minutes. It's almost 3 minutes, but not quite. And I feel like stretch it out to 4 minutes and put like little changes in there and let it build up to that awesome chorus. It really could have been a great album closer, I think. But as it is, I mean, I like it. It's a pretty good song. I just think it would have been really cool if they had spent a little more time on it. And then that is actually not the last song. Only for So Long, track number 11, is not the last song. There is a secret track on this record. I love physical media because you can have secret songs. Like on Tool's Undertow, you have Disgustipated. On Nirvana's Nevermind, you have Endless Nameless. And, there's so many great secret songs. This is also a great secret song. There's this really cool jam that they do. It's an instrumental jam, but it's got this kind of like, sitar-like or kind of psychedelic-y guitar intro. And then it becomes just really heavy, and they just go for it. Meanwhile, there's this strange British lady who's talking over the top of it, talking about like making spaghetti or like how she likes to dress up when she goes out. And I don't even know what that's from. Is it Miss Emma Peel? Is it from the Avengers? I don't know. I don't think there's any reference to that anywhere in this booklet or anything. I looked online, I couldn't even find anything. So if you know what that is and what it's from, please let me know. But anyway, really cool secret track. I never skipped that one. When I would listen to this album all the way through, sometimes I would skip like All She Can See, but I would never skip even the secret song. I just really like it a lot. I think it's weird. I think it's fun. Again, I wish Dishwalla would have done more songs like that. I wish they would have just played around a little bit more and let the weirdness out. All right, the last thing I want to say before I go is that there is a Dishwalla failure connection. So in my previous video, some videos ago, I was talking about the band Failure, their second album, Magnified. And there is actually a really cool Depeche Mode tribute, which is called For the Masses. Came out in 1998. And this is a great tribute album. It's got a lot of really good bands on here. Smashing Pumpkins, God Lives Underwater, The Cure, Veruca Salt, Meat Beat Manifesto, Monster Magnet, Rabbit in the Moon, Deftones, one of my favorite Deftones covers, To Have It To Hold, and also Rammstein. And there is also Dishwalla. So there's a little bit of a connection there, some kind of weird thread running through my videos. So if you ever want to check out Depeche Mode's For the Masses tribute album, pretty good stuff on there. The Dishwalla cover, Policy of Truth, really good song. Doesn't really sound like Dishwalla. It's pretty heavy. Really cool stuff. All right, that was a lot of jabber about a fairly unknown 90s band. Let me know what you think. Do you like Dishwalla? Did you used to listen to him? Do you know the song Counting Blue Cars? Do you hate this band? Do you think this record is boring? I'd love to hear from you. Yeah, I mean, when I was in high school and beyond, I was like trying to be cool and I was pretending like, I never listened to that song. Like, what? Counting Blue Cars? I don't know. But, honestly, like I used to listen to this record a lot. And still now, sometimes when I'm drunk on Sunday, I put it on and, feel the 90s, man. You can do worse in terms of alternative rock or post-grunge. You could do worse than Dishwalla. They're a pretty good band in my opinion, and also their second record, And You Think You Know What Life's About, is also a solid record. So anyway, that's all I got for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again.